Welcome to Nano Zorro, the podcast of Tech Zorro, presented by Juditova. Engage with your ears about engineering, development and inventions, as well as interviews with experts and hobbyists. You will learn to make better decisions with your designs, programs and manufactures in order to optimize and develop your products and services, or just for fun. You can find the show notes from the episode, the transcription, and much more by entering to techzorro.com/podcast. And now your host, engineer, crafter, and tech enthusiast, Juditova.
If you like this podcast or the blog, and you do want to support the show, go to our site in Patreon to contribute with a monthly donation. You will have early access to its episodes, you will be recognized as a Patreon in the website, among other benefits. There are several tiers available, starting from $3, or if you feel altruist or generous, there are superior tiers. You just have to go to the website techzorro.com/Patreon. In the show notes or description, you will find the link. We will kindly appreciate all contribution. All right then, let's start with today's episode. Hello and welcome to episode 3 of Nano Zorro, the podcast of Tech Zorro. In this episode, you're going to listen about an old debate, whether the invention of Wi-Fi should replace any other existing networking technologies. As far as I am concerned, not all technologies will last forever, but some endure the blow of time. Ethernet as copper cable or as fiber optics, and wireless local area network, also called Wi-Fi. In this short episode, let's compare Ethernet versus Wi-Fi, and let's talk about when is each of the technologies appropriate to use. A brief introduction. Ethernet. This technology is very familiar to most engineers because it is the simplest way to interconnect computers. It is also an old and enduring protocol that was developed since 1973, but has been commercially introduced in the 1980s. It is more than 40 years ago and counting. It seems that we have plenty of time more to share with Ethernet. Ethernet uses both fiber optics and copper twisted pair. For this episode, I will stick with copper cables since it is far more common to see them in homes and small offices. Commonly used with the connector RJ45, and under ideal conditions, the cable can handle distances up to 100 meters. Further than this, it becomes unreliable. Thanks to its bend resistance and other mechanical benefits, it has become one of the most popular wired communication protocols. The speeds have been improved since its invention with 2.9 megabits per second. Wow! Yeah, okay, that is slow today. But anyway, the standard today is 1 gigabits per second at the time of this recording, and in this decade is expected to reach up to 10 gigabits per second. At least that's what it is expected for the industry, or at least for consumer and small office use. However, there are successful tests over 400 gigabits per second. Wow! I want that in my home office. Wi-Fi. It is based on the family of standard IEEE 802.11 protocol. It is used to set up and communicate with other devices in a wireless local area network. It is the most used standard for consumer machines. Originally released in 1997, it took at least 10 years to become mainstream. It is less, of course, when compared with other mainstream technologies like radio or television. For example, the PlayStation 2, the video game console, was released in the year 2000 and it didn't have any network adapter. However, in 2006, the next generation included a wireless and wired network adapter. Typically, it works with 2.4 GHz per second and 5 GHz per second radio bands, which are subdivided into multiple channels. The 5 GHz usually works better in short range and inline visibility. There are also a new recent standard that uses a 6 GHz band which can reach theoretical speeds up to 9608 megabits per second. Okay, so now comes the fun part. When should we use any of those? Well, let's see the differences between Ethernet and Wi-Fi. Both technologies can coexist, for sure. There is no need to replace one for another. In fact, there is no absolute best network protocol because there are situations and circumstances when one works better than the other, and vice versa. The purpose of this episode is to, determine when is appropriate to use each technology. Okay, so let's see speed. When download or upload rates are the ultimate goal, aim always for Ethernet. Currently, it has speeds over 400 gigabits per second on fiber optics and above 10 gigabits per second on twisted copper pair. On the other hand, Wi-Fi has standards that reach up to 9.6 gigabits per second in ideal conditions. And yes, it changes a lot depending on how many walls, on how many meters it's away from the router and the device, other interference. Yes, many obstacles. Reliability. Wi-Fi routers have the bad habit to behave erratically after a few devices had been connected to them. Furthermore, the more obstacles in the way, the more unreliable the signal becomes. In contrast, Ethernet can make a local area network or internet connection less vulnerable to slowdowns, as long as the network cable stays below the specified length. Mobility. Wi-Fi is the most convenient way to connect devices on the move, on the go. Public places like cafes, libraries, airports uses this kind of network because it helps and eases the connectivity of consumers. Do you imagine yourself connecting your tablet or computer with cables to an Ethernet switch among 50 other people? I hope nobody stumbles with your cable. Latency. Perhaps one might think that the copper cable means more trouble for the signal to travel than, let's say, air or vacuum. Now, in fact, it is the other way around. Wireless cables increases the travel time of signal. This feature is more important for real-time applications such as robotics, gaming, and video conferencing. Extendability. Expanding an existing network with wireless network is appropriate only if the source is connected with a wire. For example, plugging a Ethernet cable to a Wi-Fi access point produces higher results than connecting various Wi-Fi access points among each other. Don't try it at home. It is recommended that the most of the part you use Ethernet cable for these expansion purposes. Miniaturization. Why it is so popular? This is a rhetoric question, of course. Miniaturization is often the preferred feature for Wi-Fi, since the network adapter is located inside the device and doesn't require anything to be connected to it. With no external connection, it can be as small as the manufacturer is able to do so, and as long as it works. Well, that was a short episode. I hope that you like it and that you have now a clearer idea about the differences between Ethernet and Wi-Fi and when each other should be used. Well, we see each other in the next episode, and meanwhile, I hope you the best in your creativity week. I hope you have enjoyed this episode so far and that you have learned something useful for your next craft or project. Before you go, I just need a favor from you. Go to the application where you are hearing this right now and leave us your honest review and a like or a rating from 1 to 5 stars. This way, more people will be able to find this episode and enjoy it as well. It will mean so much. Juditova says farewell. Until next time. Bye bye.
That's all for this episode. We hope that you found a moment of enlightenment and that you have enhanced your skills or cleared some doubts. For more interviews, tutorials, blueprints, and advice, go to the website techzorro.com/podcast. Juditova expects you in the next episode. Don't forget to subscribe. Happy crafting!